Good morning. In October '76, somewhere around there, I just got back from overseas living in Africa and spending my days off in the Canary Islands and Las Palmas. Great, wonderful life. I was probably 17, 16, 17 years old, somewhere around there, 17, I guess. And I was working for an uncle of mine, cousin of mine, I guess you'd say, at Dual Drilling in Ozona, Texas, on an oil rig, working in what they call the worm corner. That's the beginner's corner, for you folks that don't know. And I'm sitting there and I'm hearing all these stories about this big oil boom in Bakersfield, California. People are getting rich, don't you know? It's a modern day gold rush. Well, I had a 72 Nova, the fully loaded one, the 4 speed, fancy rear end, 350 engine, super sport, the, the high performance version you can buy off the factory floor. I shoved that thing down in first gear and I headed for Bakersfield, California. On the way there, I'd heard about Vegas. I wanted to check it out. Well, hell, Vegas took most of my money. Next stop, I wanted to see Hollywood before I went to Bakersfield. I pulled into Los Angeles, little old country boy from a town of about 500, pulled into a city of millions or billions for all I knew. And I knew about where the road was supposed to be at, but I couldn't find a sign that said Hollywood. Apparently it's like Lukenbach. I guess they stole the signs faster than they could print the damn things. So anyway, I never did find it. I ended up on the ocean, followed the way up the ocean, Port Hueneme, California. But I was about out of money then, so I was sleeping in the back of my Nova, eating cherry tomatoes and drinking Diet Coke or whatever poison it was back then. And I had two choices. Had one choice. Call Mama for money to come home on. Well, I wasn't going to do that. Too much pride, I guess. So I walked into a recruiting station. Luckily, the first one was the Navy, because it could have been Marine Corps. Don't get me wrong, some of my best friends are Marines. But this old country boy is better off in the Navy, I found out. And on 13 October 76, I enlisted. That's the day you'll remember forever. And you'll remember it's the day you got out, too. October 82, 13th October. No, I had 6 days where I was out partying too much one time. Imagine that. So 19 October 1982, my enlistment was up. If I'd known these sorry bastards were going to send my jobs overseas and import guest workers from other countries to take my jobs, I probably would have stayed in and did my 20. But I didn't know that. Let's get rid of a little housekeeping first. About 10 years or so, when Hillary Gamm wrote a book, Billions Lost, I come out with this little calling card. And I would send it for every job I seen advertised anywhere, whether it be Twitter or Yahoo, anything. I needed work. And I had the skills our employers say they can't find. Well, I never did find work. Very little sense. Most of that time was spent fixing lawnmowers or trying to survive one way or another. So the reason I bring this up, I understand what veterans are going through. Not those that have been to war and come back. There's no way I could ever understand that without having served myself. 2018, I think it was. I was working at the VA, trying to work my way up the ladder and being denied at every opportunity. And I began hearing about the 22 veteran suicides per day. Well, trying to make a difference. I guess that's one of my downfalls. I wrote President Trump a letter. And in about 3 months, 6 months, I forget exactly when, I heard back. That's the rest of the story, as they say. Anyway, I wrote this letter and said, President Trump, I realize a lot of these veteran suicides, or 22 veteran suicides per day, are from PTSD. I do understand that. However, I think a lot of them also, because of the double whammy, they're dealing with the PTSD, and then they can't find no damn jobs to provide for their families with. So they can't get readjusted back to civilian life. There's no way, no shape, no form, no how. Anyway, after about 3-6 months, it come back down the chain of command for you veterans. And I got called in the office at the local VA one day. And they asked me, point blank, are you suicidal? I said, what in the hell is this about? Finally found out it was about that letter I wrote. That's how tone deaf the VA was. Here I am trying to help people understand why our veterans are going through what they're going through. And they said, well, shit, he must be suicidal because he can't find a job. You sorry? Bitches. Anyway, I never did make it up the ladder at the VA. I'm still struggling. Luckily, I'm old enough now where I get Social Security and I live in the garage and rent my house out. So I ain't getting rich, but I ain't hurting no more. But I understand why these veterans are hurting. And you get all this talk about meritocracy or whatever they call it, you know, old Vivek or Vivek or however you say his damn name up in Ohio is, where they're only going to hire the best of the best. Well, in a way I agree with that because I've always considered myself the best of the best. But the problem is I never took the time to get that degree or anything. So I don't even make it past their hurdles that I got to jump over. What about that veteran who's lost the use of his foot or his arm? Still got skills, still has bills he needs to pay. Maybe that disability is not paying enough. I don't know their story, so I can't talk about them. But I really believe, I don't know if I'd go far as saying 50%, but a good lot of it, I really believe, is caused by our veterans not being able to find work to pay the bills, to deal with their stress. Hell, they even have a little mad money. Am I wrong? There's always a chance of that. I want to hear what you think. You know, 76 was a long damn time ago, 25, about 50 years ago. Now that I'm too old to do anything, you know the one thing I still enjoy doing? Every Wednesday and Friday, I'll go meet a couple of old veterans. One's an old Army Huey pilot from Vietnam. Other was a sniper, both Army. My Air Force buddy, he had a stroke a while back, so he don't make it out no more. But I enjoy my Wednesday and Friday evening going over and drink 3 or 4 beers with those guys, talking shit, excuse my language, talking crap, I guess you'd say. And just enjoying the company of the fellow veterans. I think that's something that never goes away. I don't care if you're a young veteran or old veteran. You might not appreciate it as much until you're older. I don't know the answer. But I do know that our veterans deserve every bit of the help that they can get. They're like, what, 1% of the population that stood up and volunteered for their country so that the 99% can scream and raise hell at them? Whatever. I'm not even going to waste time on that one. Here's to you old veterans. If you're ever in the Harper, Texas area, let me know. I'll drink a beer with you. I might even crack open that half-gallon Wild Turkey 101 I got sitting over there. I don't know. Been there for about 3, 4, 6 months maybe. When I was young, would have never thought I'd have anything to do with being a veteran. Now that I'm old, it's the one good thing I did. It taught me that I was good at electronics, electricity, computers, technology. And it exposed me to a lot of things traveling around the country. I bring all this up because I think our veterans deserve better. And the last thing they need to be doing is contemplating suicide. So President Trump, I doubt you'll see this. But if you do, the lack of jobs for Americans in America could be a significant cause of this problem. It's going to take somebody on the inside. I'm not a senator yet, but if I get there, that'll be another issue I'll raise. Anyway, enough of that. Good day, and for you veterans out there, hey, tip a glass to me. Thank you. Bye.